And now, ladies and gentlemen, hey now. Welcome to hour number 3 of the Line Talk 99.5 on Trish's birthday. That's right. Happy birthday to my lovely wife. And I hope she's having a good day. I hope she's having a good day. I don't know if she's listening or not, but she listens when she can, which is weird that she would even want to listen to me. I would think she listens or hears me enough, but I think she just loves me and wants to support me. And she does like the show, except for when we talk about poop, which is literally 50% of my content, especially when there's a diarrhea parasite. When the doo-doo bug is on the loose, she tells me not to talk about it so much, but I can't. I can't help it. I can't help it. Anyway, if you want to get in, this is a way to do it. 205-545-9950. Give me whatever you got. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. I want to stick with this idea of Democrats being so accepting, because part of it, you may think to yourself, like, why are they doing this? Why are they embracing this, which is isolating a lot of people? It's really isolating more people than it's bringing in. And Democrats have had a history of doing that, such as concentrating on the transgender issue or the LGBTQ crowd, or, George Floyd, which I don't know. George Floyd got a lot of got a lot of attention and a lot of support, but they seem to focus in on the things where it's like, yeah, you can get their vote, but you're boxing everybody else out. I'm not going to pretend to know the thinking behind it. I really don't. But it seems to be that they're a little freaked out by the idea that they have lost young people. And they've lost them over the years. It wasn't just a sudden thing. It had been gradually happening since 2016, when crazy old Bernie Sanders got railroaded. And ever since then, people have been trickling away. And especially in the day and age of the internet and people's online activity and the constant flow of information and the way podcasts have evolved, and certain people have become popular, such as your Joe Rogans and whoever else, and your Steven Crowders. It has created an atmosphere where the lines are more blurred than they used to be. That's why I laugh it off every time somebody's like, "Oh, you're just a Republican talking points, blah, 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 blah." It's not as simple as that anymore. A lot of people have issues where they might identify as conservative, but they have issues where it might align them with what the official Democrat Party stance is. Or not necessarily Democrat Party, but a liberal stance would be. Such as conservatives that are upset with what's going on with Israel and Gaza and all of this stuff. Well, that lines up with your Mamdamis and your Democrats. So the line is not as clear cut as it used to be, and that has caused the Democrat Party to lose its foothold on young people when they had worked so hard to corner that market by infiltrating the schools and the colleges and just indoctrinating young people. I mean, a lot of you guys out there have seen it. You've probably seen it with your own kids. They grew up with a good head on their shoulders. You taught them, that being smart and responsibility and taking just taking care of yourself and working hard and becoming successful is the way to go. And then all of a sudden you send them off to college and they come back and they've got all these different ideas. Like liberals had really, really done a fantastic job in cornering the market on young people, but it's not the case anymore. And I think that's the driving force behind this. There's really no other logical explanation as to why Democrats, especially longtime Democrats, will be aligning themselves with socialists. I want you to listen to this. Mark Warner was on was he on CNBC, and this is whatever the show is that they have in the morning. What's the name of that show and who's the guy? Joe Kernan. CNBC's Joe Kernan, and they were asking him essentially like, what's the reason for this? Why are you aligning yourself with the socialist wing of your party? It doesn't seem to be a good idea. Now, Mark Warner is a guy that's been there for a long time. He's an old crusty white Democrat that has been traditionally somebody that just toes the party line. And the explanation was just utter nonsense. Listen. Yeah, he doesn't even know what party he's in. But it's it was just nonsense. He didn't even answer the question. It's like, why are you aligning yourself with these socialists? Well, I mean, when it comes to Graham Plentner, we should have vetted him more and blah, blah, blah. They literally allowed the people that vetted him. Do you all remember me showing you those people? They were the literal they were socialists that were vetting him. It was that weird guy that talked like this. We knew about the tattoo. Which is very weird. But then they press him further. Mark Warner, they press him further. And he continues to make no sense. Oh, this is the one. This is the one we just heard. That's my fault. I don't know. Anyway, he ends up going through and giving the same runaround. And it's always amazing to see Democrats face real questions from the media. They're so used to getting softball questions from the press that they usually implode under real questioning. And you could, if you see the video, you could look at the look on his face and he's like, "Oh God, I don't know. It's just, we're all about." He goes into this whole thing. He's like, "Yo, my parents, they were business people, and they failed a few times, but they ultimately succeeded. And, I believe in the free market and I believe in capitalism and this and that. But, we're a big tent party. And it's like, well, you're big tent. It's like that video that Val showed me this video from the beach before the show. And it was the wind was blowing at the beach. And this one of these umbrellas was like flying across the beach at like a rapid speed and ends up hitting this lady and almost impales her. That's what's going to happen with the Big Ten of the Democrat Party. A big gust of socialist wind's going to come through, and it's going to knock the tent over, and it's going to impale the party. And I'm here for it. As I've stated time and time again, the way to defeat these people and make sure they never come to power is to destroy the Democrat Party. And by destroying them, you have to beat them in consecutive races. Presidential races, midterm races, even on a local level. Wouldn't hurt. But if the American people can show, and this is a big if the American people can show the Democrats that this is unacceptable and that we're not going to put up with it, because they're isolating a lot of people. They're isolating business owners. They're isolating anybody that owns anything. They're isolating entire religions, entire ethnicities. They're isolating Jews. They're isolating a lot of people. And if the American people can turn around and tell them, nah, we're not cool with that, and allow them to lose election after election, then maybe, just maybe, the Democrats go back to the drawing board and say, this party is no longer, we're going to have to start something else. Maybe something more towards the middle. The problem is it doesn't align with their ultimate goals. Going back towards the middle is not what they want. Going back towards the middle is not going to allow them to consolidate power, to take power away from the people and put it back in the hands of the government, which is where it's been for a very long time until the orange man came down the escalator. 205-545-9950. More of the line coming up after this. 205-545-9950. 545-9950. Y'all hook it up. Cuzzo, do like your boy Bubba Rumble and get on the phone lines. Bubba, what's up?
Hey now, Cuzzo.
Hey now.
Hey, shout out to OB for keeping the Starship Hey Now on course like he always does. The man
That's
runs
right.
a tight ship.
That's
Good job
right.
over there.
That's
Jay
exactly
Dizzle out
right.
sowing his wild oats again.
Yeah, he is. He's big timing, man. He's all over with that new ride. He's just doing what he wants. He don't care about us
new
anymore.
Car, new lease on life, man. We'll be lucky if he even talks to us here soon enough.
I know we're peasants compared to JB now.
Yeah, that's true. He's royalty now. So check this out, man. Like I'm enjoying every minute of these young radical leftists pushing back against the party that so carefully curated them as a voting bloc over the past, say, couple of decades. Kind of got a kickstart when Barry Soetoro was president. And, like a watershed moment for me is when creepy Bernie Sanders, the millionaire peasant, looked right at a TV camera and boldly exclaimed that, yes, he's a socialist. And, I can remember AOC campaigning on a lot of young lefty socialist talking points. And they've catered to every radical idea you can think of, from the open borders people to the transgender people to the, Free Palestine crowd of late. And now, for some reason, the upper echelons of the Democrat Party thought that they could court these radical lefty Marxist traitor people, yet still keep them under control somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, major backfire
amazing.
going now. You know, when you're dealing with militant-minded Marxists, they're going to revolt against the power system, no matter who they think's in charge. And I'm loving every minute of them lashing out at Pelosi and Schumer and Jeffries and a lot of the other, upper echelons of that party now, because they're in control now. And that clip you played from Jamie Raskin, trying to run that same spiel, he got moted in real time.
Yeah, he did. And what's crazy is they created these individuals. They created this group of young people that are crazed socialist, just anti-government individuals, from the ones that just want to vote for socialists to the ones firebombing FBI or ICE federal buildings. They created those individuals because of their disdain for Donald Trump. We all remember the clips of Democrats talking about get out there in the streets and punch him in the face. And Maxine Waters says create a crowd around anybody in the administration when you see them out in public, and all these different things. Like, they created those individuals, and now they find themselves in a position of trying to figure out how to wrangle those same people in. And in order to do it, they feel like their only option is to go to the most extreme option available. And it's not going to work out for them in the long term or the short term. Yeah, I think I don't know if Bubba Rumble hung up on me or I hung up on him, but something happened just there. Let me get Larry in. Larry, what's up?
Hey, I just wanted to mention, in reference to listening to you while I'm on the road almost every day, would you please make reference or mention to the public that, please, these Democrats, they need to add the letter N in the middle of Democrat, because they become Democrats. Some of the ideas are unbelievable. But one question I wanted to throw at you and ask your opinion of is simply the fact that all of the things that they've thrown at Trump for the last 8 or 10, 12 years or whatever, was it bipartisan or partisan only when they tried to I'm sorry, I just went blank. That happens a lot when you get older.
They get it.
When they, what's the word I'm trying to say? When they tried to kick him out of office.
Yeah, impeach him.
Impeach. Was it all bipartisan or partisan or what when they tried to do that?
It was mostly partisan. I don't really remember any Republicans on board.
Side, obviously, partisanship. It wasn't for them to impeach him. It's just amazing, everything that they've thrown at Trump. He's like Teflon trumpet that nothing sticks. But man, I enjoy your show every day. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, Larry, I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, it's again, it was how they got so enraged over Trump, they created this. I mean, they acted like lunatics on the national stage day in and day out for now 10 years, and now they have this problem on their hands. Richard the Cop, what's up, bub?
Talking about Mayor Mundummy, gonna try to arrest Netanyahu when he comes here. Apparently, this idiot hasn't done research on the IDF because those security people will be with him. He will have IDF people with him, just like Trump has his Secret Service with him. And them IDF people ain't no joke, Andrew.
Yeah.
19 years old in Israel, you have to be a military member for a year, mandatory. And them IDF people are trained. Them women in the grocery stores, there's pictures of them all the time that used to be military. They walking around with their M16s and stuff hanging on their shoulders.
Yeah.
He ain't got good sense, boys.
No.
And he's holding down the Starship. Has Bird made it safe? Have you checked on him?
Yeah, he's good. I just heard from him a few minutes ago.
Tell him to watch them 27-year-olds in North Carolina because they want the Blue Cross instead of the Red Cross. Y'all have a good one.
All right. I will pass that advice along to old JB. He is he's very adamant about driving safely in his new ride. So he's only in Tallapoosa, Georgia. He's just barely across the state line, but he'll get there someday. All right, let's keep it rolling. 205 545 9950. 545-9950. Look at a live shot from Marietta, Georgia, where Trump is going to be promoting the new child investment accounts, the Trump accounts. So that is an attempt to get out there and get the word out for some Trump babies. Let's get some Trump babies. And this kind of goes to the same theme about how the left has cornered the market on young people over the years. Even though they've created this monster now, they have traditionally been able to indoctrinate young people. I want to talk about that, but first, let me talk about Deep South Construction Pros. That's right. My buddies at Deep South Construction Pros. These guys are fantastic. What I'm talking about here is your home. For those of you that are homeowners that have the responsibility of taking care of things such as we talk about NOTO, roofs, doors, foundations, basements, crawl spaces, all of these things are tied into you being a homeowner. And Deep South Construction Pros, they handle a lot of this stuff. I mean, a lot of it. And if you got questions about what all they do, call them. I encourage you to call them. But one thing I concentrate on is the water getting in your basement, your crawl space, because it creates mold and mildew and makes you sick and then causes foundation problems. Then you got a whole mess on your hands. I don't want none of that for none of y'all. I wouldn't really wish it on my worst enemy. Actually, I might on certain Democrats. But for y'all, I don't want that to happen to you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach out to these guys. Ask any question you got. If you just want a quote from them, get them to come check out your place. They can explain all the different things that because they got to find the source of the problem. Like sometimes it's irrigation problems. If you notice water after it rains pooling up around the side of your house and then it starts seeping into your basement or whatever, or, could be a lot of things. Foundation issues, same thing. I always talk about those. Windows and doors not opening and shutting like they used to. Floors and walls separating. You've got cracks in the brick. There's a lot of different signs that you don't necessarily have to look for, but you need to get the pros down there to look at it for you to make sure everything is good. And if it's not, these are going to be the best guys for the job. So reach out to them at this number, 256-305-1854. That's 256-305-1854. And online, DeepSouthConstructionPros.com. That's DeepSouthConstructionPros.com. Man, Trump he's going from Dover Air Force Base to Marietta, Georgia that quick. And John Bird's passing through Georgia. He might get caught up in some presidential traffic if he ain't careful. Let me see. Where is I don't think Marietta's on his route. Let's see. No, because that's a little northwest of Atlanta. Well, I don't know. It might. What does he hit? Nah, I think he goes from I-20 to I-85. I think that's what he does. We should call him. We should actually call him and see what he's doing. When I checked a minute ago, he was at like a Dunkin' Donuts or something. I hope he's listening to the show. I mean, you can at least support us, buddy. I can guarantee you he's not listening to the show. He's probably listening to Interstellar or something. Trying to find his zen. Because I'm telling y'all, he gets so stressed out about driving this new car. Because he is just terrified, absolutely terrified that something's going to happen. He's going to have a wreck or whatever. And I try to tell him, like, listen, man, things happen, You might get in a wreck, but that's what insurance is for. You're going to have the ability to get it fixed if something does happen. I know your dad's taking care of it and there's sentimental value, but you can drive like a normal person. You don't have to be, like, completely freaked out, zonked out of your mind from anxiety every time you leave the house. But anyway, let me get back on track here. The young people, the left and the Democrats and I guess the socialists as well, are still trying to start at a very young age to indoctrinate these kids. Case in point, there's a free summer program at George Washington University that's grooming middle school students for progressive activism. Middle school students, trying to get them. We had recently seen protest school walkouts. You remember seeing those all across the country in protest of ICE? And then all these kids would be getting out of class and be like, no ICE in our streets, protect the immigrants, blah, 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 blah. And it's like the vast majority of those kids just saw an opportunity to get out of class, first of all. But for some of them, it sets in, like, especially if you got a teacher that you respect and you're hearing this stuff day in and day out. This is just another example of that. They're running a free summer program for middle school students that is nothing short of pure indoctrination. It's geared towards progressive activism and social justice while encouraging participants to basically become activists in their own communities. This is what education in the United States has become in recent years. The left uses education to promote their radical politics, and the students they target for this seem to get younger every year. This is from Campus Reform. Listen to what they say. George Washington University is offering a free summer program that grooms local middle school students for progressive activism through community advocacy projects requiring participants to develop initiatives designed to influence their communities and present them publicly at the end of the 5-week program. The Civic Changemakers program, operated by the university's Honey W. Nashman Center for Civic Engagement and Public Service, pairs middle school children with adult college students, includes field trips and workshops, and culminates in activism projects. So they take college students that have already been indoctrinated, that are locked in, and they pair them with 12-year-olds or however 12, 13-year-olds and allow the college students that they've indoctrinated to then indoctrinate middle schoolers. So by the time the middle schoolers get to college, they're then really locked in, and that propaganda, that indoctrination just gets concreted in. Rather than focusing solely on traditional academic enrichment, the program historically emphasizes advocacy associated with progressive causes. George Washington has highlighted similar projects from previous years that centered on left-leaning social and political issues. A 2020 university report describes students participating in lessons centered on the Black Lives Matter movement and helping, quote, children learn social justice. In 2022, participants developed a survey measuring public opinion on gun violence and promoted it on X, which was Twitter at that time, to encourage students to speak out against Second Amendment rights. Now, if you'll remember, George Washington University has long been a hotspot for leftist activism. Because in the spring of 24, in the lead up to the 2024 election, student activists defaced the campus statue of George Washington with a Palestinian flag. So America's entire system of education is in need of a serious overhaul, particularly in higher education. But as you see here, they're moving down the chain, and they want to get them in as early as possible. And with this concentration on activism, it leaves academia in the dust. So while, yes, you may create yourself a little activist and lifelong Democrat voter and someone that can help push socialism long into the future, they end up being dumb as a rock. The State University of New York system implements mandatory tutoring. This is real. They have implemented mandatory tutoring, a mandatory tutoring program, because of a record number of first-year students are failing math and writing. In states like New York, they're being surpassed by states like Arkansas and Mississippi in academics. And a big part of that is because the main part of that is because of what we see here. And a lot of that's being the reason that's happening is because of who they're hiring to be these teachers. You can go on TikTok and look up, put in liberal teacher or whatever, but Democrat teacher, young Democrat teacher. And you'll see, and it's usually women or, trans women even, that are such social justice warriors. They have all their garbage plastered all over the room with the trans flags and the BLM stuff and the anti-ICE messaging and everything. It's just all over the classroom. And will sit there and pound that stuff into these young children's heads and not worry about whether or not they're learning anything. It's more of just make sure you're on the right side of social issues. Who cares if you can do math? Who cares if you can read and write? As long as you're an activist. That's all that matters. And because of that, New York has found themselves in a weird situation. The State University of New York, it's called SUNY, implementing a mandatory tutoring system because of a record number of first-year students failing reading and math. This problem is widespread and not isolated to New York. Part of this problem, what they will say, and probably did contribute, is what happened during COVID-19. School systems across the country shut down for months and conducted classes via Zoom, where students fell behind and many of which never caught up. But it's also due to the fact that so many schools have abandoned basic elements of education in favor of pushing woke garbage about social justice. Here's another one from the College Fix. It says, due to a record number of first-year failures in freshman writing and math courses, the system now will require students to have weekly meetings with a one-on-one tutor and will add additional time to classes in the latter category. According to the Times Union, SUNY reported that a quarter of its freshmen failed the introductory math course and 22% flunked English. This fall at SUNY Albany, selected first years will have to get tutored in writing for an hour each week and for 90 minutes in math and science. Hundreds of high-performing students have been tapped to help with this effort. Dean for Undergraduate Education, Joanne Malatesta, said that the assisting students who, quote, did well in the writing class will direct freshmen to the tutoring center and encourage them to go to the professor's office hours. Some 375 student tutors also will hold the 90-minute supplemental instruction sessions each week in math and science that freshmen are expected to attend. Malatesta said similar sessions in the past have led to significant gains in academic performance. Well, seems like you've got it all figured out. The kids are dumb, and they're all like, what's going on? What? They know about ICE rounding people up just because they're brown and deporting American citizens and killing people in the streets. They know about that. But they don't know basic arithmetic. They don't know English, math, a little bit of science. No, I don't know any of that. You know how to balance a checkbook? You know how to do a budget. You know how to check your bank account. No, maybe fill out a deposit slip. No, don't know how to do that. Oh, but you know how to organize a anti-ice rally. Well, good for you. That'll get you far in life. Way to go, kid. And you know what? You can't blame the kids. You really can't. You can only blame a failed system that has been taken over by leftist lunatics for the sole purpose of creating an army of voters that will keep them in power forever. That's all this is about. And the reason they don't want to clean up voter rolls is because they got to wait for those kids to get old enough to vote. After that, they should be fine. 205-545-9950. Let's keep it rolling on the other side. Hang tight. Let's go. 205 545 9950. Hour number 4 creeping up on us. Been a smooth ride so far, I would say. Wouldn't you? I think one of the prime examples of what has really, and really, there are products of this indoctrination currently in Congress. I think Jasmine Crockett would be a good example. And the fact that she's a product of it, she can then stand on a large stage with a microphone and say these outrageous things that people will actually buy into. And for Jasmine Crockett, everything's racist, as you know, including but not limited to the World Cup. That's right. And not just the World Cup as a whole, but the World Cup finals between Spain and Argentina. And I know you're thinking to yourself, how in the world could that possibly be dubbed racist? But Jasmine Crockett found a way. Can you imagine Tim Burchett, by the way? He's the one that runs that committee, having to deal with that. Like, what? I couldn't even make sense of that. But where there's a will, there's a way. And of course, she's going to make sure to talk about ICE in this hearing because that also goes back to racism. Oh, I think we lost it. But anyway, you get the idea of what direction that was going. And so it went into this whole thing about this and that, and it's all based in white supremacy. I may try to give you more of that when we get back on the other side, because she has been, even though her time in Congress is coming to an end, she is gonna throw race Molotov cocktails all the way to the very end. And it's that stuff. It's that kind of rhetoric that lands in the lap of these socialists, and they just eat it up.